This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Yes, welcome to the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world. What a show we have in store today. It's a knockout show because the boxing that happened the other day, if you didn't catch it, Gervonta Davis against Mario Barrios as well. That was, oh my God, the knockout. Oh my God. We're talking about that. People are already talking to me about the Euros and we haven't even started the show yet. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in on the Instagram Live. Ibrahim, Rashid, Mustafa, Vibes with Ahmed as well. Amin, Hashim, Anime. Who else we got here? Fatima, Maria, and the whole crew. Right, okay. Portugal versus Belgium. That happened last night. Anyone watch it? What do you think? You know what? There's a lot of Ronaldo haters out there. I felt really bad for Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday. The guy keeps doing it, keeps breaking records, and people still hate on him. So we're talking about that. Did we get the first shock of the tournament yesterday with Netherlands? As Ibrahim is telling me, Netherlands knockout by Czech. People were saying, watch out for the Czech, and the Czech proved good. We're also talking about health and fitness today on the segment. You know, listening to Omnia and Hani Balkhis earlier, that was interesting regarding trackers and monitors. That's something that I think, you know, we've spoken about on the show briefly about trackers and monitors, but it keeps evolving, right? There's always this trend and this craze. So we're going to be talking about that as well, and how much can we believe these stats that come out of these things. That's coming up as well, so make sure you stay tuned for the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95. See you in a bit, guys.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Let's get ready to rumble! Oh, he left the fire. What a goal!
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Better than nice!
Wow. I'm looking at the people online now keeping me company. Shout out to Australia, shout out to Philippines, shout out to India, Tunisia as well in the building. A lot of people from all around the world tuning in, and Holland as well. Shout out to Jojo, who just touched down in Holland, unfortunately, on the wrong result of the Euro 2020. But the air and the crispness must be keeping you smiling, Jojo. I hope you have a fantastic time out there. Right, okay, in the boxing world, Gervonta Davis, man, oh my God. You know, I was watching the show sports, and you know, sometimes these things, when we get used to them so much, we get used to watching the story of the boxer and the trainer and then the setbacks, and then you see the family, then they're shot into, like, if they have kids or if they're in their community. I must say, man, this was something that I kind of needed to see, and I saw it unfold recently against Mario Barrios in a devastating knockout. And I remember actually, was it Cruz? De La Cruz? Who did he fight last time? I think it was about a year ago. No, it was in April 2021. And it was knockout of the year. It was unbelievable. Watching him fight, he's got purpose. You know, sometimes you watch boxers and they're kind of floating, coasting through, a bit more pragmatic in their approach. But watching Davis, the tank, man, doing it big, that was amazing. I saw the fight, and again, seeing Baltimore's finest do his thing, you have to say there's a reason why he's undefeated. You know, he stopped Mario Barrios in the 11th round on Saturday night to claim the WBA super lightweight title in his 3rd world championship. You know, the problem is nowadays, when you're the marked person, everyone wants a piece of you. But hey, listen, you earn the right to pick and choose who you want to fight, and he does want to fight the best. He did say in his interview, I'm not ducking no one. And you can see that. You can see that exactly in his style. I had a question sent in, who's your favorite boxer out there at the moment? I have to say to you right now, you know, I like Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury, you know, his technique and his skill set is fantastic. But I have to say Canelo for me is the one right now. Definitely happy to see him there. Also, Anthony Yard. Shout out to Anthony Yard and Tunde Ajayi, who've also been on the show in the past. You know, he's coming back in to fight again. And there's been a lot of criticism towards boxing and the politics behind it. But I actually think, you know, looking at the different fighters, looking at the prospects that are coming up, it's an exciting time to be involved in boxing. You know, Showtime Boxing actually tweeted, Gervonta is a problem. Tank remains undefeated and becomes a third division world champion with a vicious body shot. It's not just a body shot though. You're looking at his left uppercut. You're looking at his defense. You're looking at the way he navigates around the ring. He doesn't actually step away. He steps in, he steps out. He gets in the right range. He doesn't look like he's that big of a guy, but I tell you one thing, he can fight. And I was really, really happy to watch the fight. I was excited as well. Sometimes the hype and everything kind of overshadows the actual event. It's kind of underwhelming. This definitely wasn't. 11 rounds in that. And Davis is 5'5.5", they put here. Made himself hard to hit with both hands frequently held high. Yeah, man. He threw... Barrios threw many more punches, 394 to Davis's 296, but connection is key. And Davis connected more frequently, 96 to 93, and effectively landing 41.1% of his body punches compared to Barrios' 29.1. I see all these things. Sometimes stats can be deceiving, and you look at the different types of people out there who live by stats, the sports scientists and everything. But when you see the amount of work that's being done to be able to change levels, to be able to change, you know, the different types of punches to get in and get out, and also make sure you can't get hit. And Mayweather's looking over and getting a lot of credit for Davis and his rise to stardom. But I have to say, the one thing I like about Davis that maybe a lot of people might criticize, you know, the Mayweather, is the fact that he doesn't shy away from it. He's not just defensive. Of course, pound for pound, people are going to say that Mayweather was the best boxer ever, and his stats say that. But with Davis, you just know he's got knockout power. He's someone that can actually penetrate his opponent and break him down gradually. There is a plan to that. There is a structure to that. And if you wanted a fighter to kind of portray his lifestyle, his style, you know, his bravery, I think Davis is up there, man. And I wonder who's going to be next for him. Everyone's talking about different types of fighters, different types of weight divisions. I wonder who's going to be next for him. There's names being thrown around there, but who do you think needs to fight against the Tank? Davis next. Text me on 4215 Ittasalat or slide up into my DMs at Omar Duri and let me know, because coming up next, we're talking about the Euros. Have we had our first upset already with Netherlands being knocked out? And is it coming home? The question everyone is asking. Well, find out next on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in around the world. I say that. We got Australia, we got New York, we got India, we got Tunisia, we got the UAE, of course, and they're all predicting what's going to happen at the Euros. Plenty of stuff on the cards already. You know what? And then Spicy asks me, right? Spicy's a regular listener on the show. He asked me, why is it coming home? I don't think I've been as nervous about a game for a long time as England-Germany. And having watched yesterday Portugal Belgium, you know, that was something. Oh my God. For the Ronaldo haters, I know there's a lot of people that hate Ronaldo. I have so much respect for that guy. For the Ronaldo haters, this man keeps producing the goods. And yes, Belgium knocked them out yesterday, even though at the expense of Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard, both getting injured. So maybe that will affect their chances in the next round. And having seen that game yesterday, the commentators in the first half said it was boring. I don't know, man. I actually enjoyed it. I actually really, really enjoyed the technical side of it. It was very, very close. You could see the coaches had thought about what's going to happen, who's going to play. A bit frustrating that, you know, it didn't. I wanted it to go to extra time because I wanted to see more of the game, but it was a bit frustrating the way it finished. But Portugal gave it a good shot. A couple of predictions coming in already. Hashim, shout out to Hashim, predicting that Spain are going to win 3-1 against Croatia and France are going to win 2-1 against, who did you say? Spain? France are playing Switzerland, aren't they? Unless that's changed. And then you've got here as well, who's that? Spicy's predicted... What did you predict? Spain 2-1 and France 2-0. That's another one. That's a good one. You know what? I just think right now we might have seen the first upset yesterday in Czechoslovakia beating or knocking out Netherlands. It's something that you want Netherlands to be in there. There's something about the orange when it comes down to the Euros and seeing them in action, which is fantastic. I like some of their footballers. I think Dumfries has been amazing, the fullback, and I think also Memphis Depay before he's moved to Barcelona. That's another one that I kind of liked watching in there. Gigi Wijnaldum leaving Liverpool, probably going to PSG. His performance with a bit more freedom. See him as an attacking player, one of the top scorers as well in the tournament. Very, very cool. But listen, a special shout out goes out to Romelu Lukaku yesterday. A huge team player. Massive improvement in the way he's come a long way. I saw him play yesterday and fight for his team. And yes, he might not have got on the score sheet for all those Euro 2020 fantasy players, but he was immense, unbelievable, really, really solid. Almas is saying the Czechs winning was a huge surprise. I don't know if it was as much of a surprise as it was, because I remember when England played Czechoslovakia, Gareth Southgate said after the game, whoever plays Czech next needs to watch out. And I think that Czechoslovakia have slowly got about their business, worked hard. Yes, the revelation has been, their striker Peter Schick as well, who's done fantastic. But no one at this stage can be underestimated. And looking at tonight's games, especially when you look at Croatia versus Spain, both teams have struggled for goals in the group stage before big performance. But as I said to my cousin, shout out to Yassine, I said to my cousin, you've got to be very careful not to peak too early in this tournament. Italy the other day, many people's favourites, the way they performed in the group stages. I thought they barely scraped it against Austria. Again, have they peaked too soon? Have they shown all their cards? You've got to realise that this tournament here, when you start to show everything you can do early, people start to study that. The sports scientists, the data analysts, all these people, having been fortunate enough to be part of a couple international teams, behind the scenes, there's so much analysis that's been brought forward from the computer guys to the coaches to be able to tell them what's going to happen, what patterns, what behavior that they see in the lineups, in the formations. There's all these kind of factors that you kind of pick up when you're in international football. And because there's time to analyze it, just a couple of days. One of the guys that was at the World Cup with me, he'd spend 9 hours just on one clip. This is the truth. Shout out to Michael, by the way. He'd spend 9 hours dissecting bits and pieces from all different clips that he's seen, matches, everything, just to present it to the coaches, for them to present it to the team in a 4-minute clip. Imagine that, 9 hours for 4 minutes. And I had the privilege of spending a bit of time with Michael just for an hour. It's a dark room. There's a screen on. It's pause, stop, cut, crop, repeat, non-stop. And then after that, it gets put into a video for the team to watch. And I was very, very lucky to be part of that setup, to see how much goes behind the scenes. So, you think about all these things, we only see the final product. When you're part of that setup, you get to see exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Luka Modric is brilliant outside the foot curler, was the pick of the bunch in a 3-1 success over Scotland, as Croatia ended up Group D as runners-up. Who would have thought that after their first game? That was something that you got to look out for. But then on the other side, Spain, finishing very strong against Slovakia, and the goal difference, 5-0 to finish second in Group E. Everyone was talking about how Spain were out of it. Everyone's been criticizing Morata, and they're through to the next round. And you look at someone like Portugal, and they're out. And that's just the way the tournament is. Holland, out. This is football. This is the way things happen in the Euros. Also, you got to think about France, Switzerland. That's happening tonight, which is going to be huge, because France have been the favorites. But I always said, and I'm a big France fan, I always said, the team that's going to beat France is France. The characters and the egos in that setup could actually be their biggest opponent. And we look at them tonight. Unlike Spain, France are truly marked up at the Euros as the favorites. And they did finish ahead of Germany, Portugal, and Hungary in the toughest group. But the 2018 World Cup winners opened up with a victory over Germany, but drew the 2 games after that. So not that Switzerland will be pushovers, but after drawing with Wales and losing to Italy, it showed that they're capable of an impressive 3-1 victory over Turkey. Were they impressive or were Turkey weak? And especially that people don't know as much about Switzerland as the big guns. Will they be winning? Now, for those people that are jumping in on the Instagram Live and saying, is it coming home? I really hope it's coming home. But the Germans will be tough opposition. Coming up next, the health and fitness segment, just like you like it. Stay tuned for more on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Never ever a dull moment on Pulse 95 radio, especially during the breaks. And anyone that's tuned in on the Instagram Live will know exactly what I'm talking about. Nia Saleh is such a legend. We won't say what she did, but we are very grateful that she's like, you're embarrassing me in front of the whole of the UAE. It's not just the UAE. There's also New York, India, Tunisia, and Holland tuned in. Anyway, yes, I'm okay, Rashid. Thank you very much for asking. And yes, plenty of cookie emojis coming up on the screen. Right, okay, the health and fitness segment. Let's get into the health and fitness segment with this one arm. Plenty of things to talk about. Now, trackers, and I was actually listening to Hani and Umnia on Future Talk, by the way, 2 to 3 everyday weekdays, and they were talking about the different trackers and people that, you know, rely on them so much, and I didn't even know that was on their running order, and I was actually going to be talking about that myself. I've kind of sampled so many different ways of tracking your heart rate, tracking your steps, tracking your sleep and your recovery and your strain, and there's always been different things that I've liked about different devices, but I haven't yet to see one that's super accurate when it comes to these things, because you know what? People really, really rely on, you know, tracking their progress, and sometimes it becomes a borderline obsession. And I'll be the first person to say that I've relied on it, from applications to Whoop, Fitbit, MyZone. People, I haven't done Garmin, but I've heard about Garmin as well. So many different things, and you know what? I mean, now you can see I'm obviously not wearing anything, and the other hand you can't see, but I just yet to be convinced about the one, if that makes sense. But what are you guys using, and how long have you been using it for? Text me on 4215 Itasalat or do as we're talking about this, and I'll tell you why we're discussing this right now. Is because now, especially with the injury obviously that I've got, I'm not able to be as mobile as I used to be and be able to do things that I want to do, so I have to be a bit more careful with tracking, and especially the fact that you know what, sometimes we're not grateful for what we have, because before I was training 6 days a week, feeling great and everything, and now that I'm kind of restricted, I'm looking at the different devices out there to see what will track steps, which I've never considered before. I've never ever thought about tracking steps to see how many steps I get a day, but I know people that do, and a lot of people say, oh, we get 10,000, we get 15,000, we've hit our mark. And here's what I like about that. I like the fact that it promotes movement, and I always say movement is medicine, and I've read that before, I've studied that before, and when movement is taken away from you, it's like your medication is taken away from you, because you're not able to feel better naturally. So I was looking into the different things, and I saw so many different people put out so many different things out there. But why do you use those things, and how long have you used those things? Here's a little one for you. Because I've been on one of the specific heart rate apps, trackers, since December 2016, because I've been consistent, you reach a certain level where they start to give you status on, you know, the different levels. So you can be good, you can be pro, you can be Hall of Fame when you get to about 24 months of consistency, etc., or years. And now that I've had this injury, I haven't been able to get my heart rate to a certain level to be able to achieve that, which has almost set me back. So I'm actually really upset that 24 months of work consistently to break all those goals, now I can't do that. And then that's when I think, oh, do I get discouraged and go, no, you know, this is rubbish, I'm not going to do this anymore? Or do I think, gotta start again, gotta get on it again and do things properly? Because let's face it, we do rely on these things. There's forms of technology that help with your fitness. I've seen people post it, and I always like when I see people post their progress. It's really, really good, because it could help someone else with their health and fitness goals. Text me on 4215 Ittasalat Urdu or slide into my DMs at Omar Aldur on Instagram and let me know, what are you using and how long have you used it for? Why has it been your go-to? And I'll be right back after the adhan. We'll see you after this. Take care, guys. We're going to have the adhan prayer and we'll be right back.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Never ever a dull moment on Pulse 95 radio, especially on the Halftime Show. You guys need to, like I said, anyone that was tuned in on the Instagram Live must have seen Umnia at her finest hour from Future Talk. And for those who are just tuning in and want to catch any of our shows, remember you can catch all of our shows on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. If you like a podcast, even head over to the YouTube channel if you like a visual to watch all of our episodes commercial and ad-free on the Pulse 95 Radio YouTube channel. Okay, what have you missed today? We've spoken about the knockout power of Gervonta Davis, the tank. We spoke about the Euros as well. And we talked about trackers when it comes down to health and fitness. And actually, I had a question here. Let me just scroll through as Masoud is... I'm just going through all the messages that what happened in the break while you guys were away. Where's the question? What's your prediction for today's matches? Okay, all right, fine. So today's matches, we've got Croatia versus Spain. You know what? I'm just worried about the Croatia-Spain game. I just hope it's a good game. None of them, to me, sound as appealing on the eye. But again, we could be wrong. You know, you saw Spain score 5 goals against Slovakia. And who would have imagined that? I want the doubters to be silenced. Now, what does that entail? Entails Morata getting a hat-trick. Now, if Morata gets a hat-trick tonight, I'll be so happy for him. Because sometimes, you know, the media can get on your back when you're low on confidence as an athlete, as a player. You know, you want to prove people wrong and you start to overthink things. You start to overanalyze things. And in doing so, you don't do the basics. You focus on the intricate movements and the advanced movements. And that's where I'm kind of like, I just hope Morata does well. Luis Enrique has had a tough ride as well at this. And you never know. When you're looking at the big teams, you're looking at France, you're looking at Germany, you're looking at Italy, you kind of overlook the teams like Denmark, for example, like Croatia. I think Spain still are a big team. I don't think it's fair to say Spain are not a big team. But what I will say in that sense is that looking at the Euros and everything now, the surprises, there's always going to be one shock. We spoke about this the other day. There's always going to be one shock. Was the shock Czechoslovakia versus Holland knocking them out? I don't know. Will it be France versus Switzerland? Again, when you have a nation like Switzerland, and you have its players, they got some very good players, by the way, you tend to kind of overlook that. And when things don't go right, the real characters come out. Now, I mean, who bigger characters than France, the World Cup winners, to face and a tough opposition? But even when you saw France play against Hungary, again, it starts to eat up at you. You start to have doubts and you start to think, is it going to be my day? And those people that are on the substitute bench, they want to play and they feel they deserve, you know, the opportunity. And when the starters, you know, aren't performing, then who do you take off? You saw Ousmane Dembele get injured the other day by coming on, who made an impact and then got injured. These are all factors that you look at when you're looking at the world of sport. And that's why I'm thinking that looking at these fixtures, I don't think it will be as obvious as we think. I don't think anyone's going to smash anyone. The fact that Denmark knocked out Wales in that manner was kind of shocking, because I couldn't have seen a clear winner. But Denmark must be the story of the tournament. I really, really think that what happened to Christian Eriksen, the way the players have got together, the emerging stars, the characters that are looking fantastic for Denmark, I think that's very, very positive. Shout out to Mikey as well, just jumped in through the room as well. But that's where I think it's going to be interesting. Tomorrow, wow, now that's going to be the big one. England versus Germany are on tomorrow at Wembley. The Germans are not happy because they haven't been able to train at Wembley. The weather is miserable. England seem quite comfortable at the moment. Obviously, they're at home. They have been at home. Wales have been complaining about that as well. But all these small factors, and the fact that people were complaining about Gareth Southgate's selection and who he's going to play and why he's not playing the right team and the right players, it is a squad game. Will he have any surprises tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow if it's coming home or not. And we have reached full time on the halftime show. It's been Unbelievable, Jeff. And I hope you guys have an incredible day. Stay tuned because coming up next is the Afternoon Karak with Aishan Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah. I hope you guys have an incredible day. And I will see you back same time, same place on Wednesday on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95. Love and blessings.
If you liked this episode of Future Talk, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.